This summer, I started researching Agenda 21 for my city and county and discovered some very interesting things. First, what I'd like to do is just very briefly explain Agenda 21. So what is Agenda 21? The United Nations says Agenda 21 is a comprehensive plan of action to be taken globally, nationally, and locally by organizations of the United Nations system, governments, and major groups in every area in which human impacts on the environment. U.S. Senate Resolution 311 was introduced in 2002 by Senator John Kerry, and it states that UN Agenda 21 is the framework for action for achieving sustainable development. Henry Lamb, who wrote a lot and researched about Agenda 21, written, Agenda 21 is a 300-page, 40-chapter soft law policy document adopted by the delegates to the United Nations Conference on the Environment and Development in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. The document is not legally binding. It is a set of policy recommendations designed to reorganize global society around the principles of environmental protection, social equity, and what is called sustainable economic development. At the heart of the concept of sustainable development is the assumption that governments must manage society to ensure that human activity conforms to these principles. Disguised as quality of life initiatives, UN Agenda 21 Sustainable Development has entered many communities. Quality of life initiatives have allowed UN Agenda 21 to slip in at local levels. An example is the Livable Tucson Vision Program. In the spring of 1997, the city of Tucson in Arizona initiated its quality of life project to identify a long-term community-driven vision, one that would help shape the city's budget and provide a framework for developing programs and services. 17 Livable Tucson goals were identified, all in sync with global agendas. The goals focus on transportation, community, government, youth, families, public education, neighborhoods, infill, reinvestment, urban green space, recreation areas, environment, jobs, air, water, historic and cultural resources, job training, poverty, opportunity, local businesses, natural resources in downtown. The Livable Tucson objectives were later incorporated into the city's 2001 general plan. A vision for sustainable living for the city of Tucson says the plan was infused with principles of smart growth and sustainability to further the goals, and also provides a framework for promoting more livable and sustainable development. Currently, a new long-range general plan is in the works called Plan Tucson. A core team of planning staff from the city's Housing and Community Development Department are working on the proposal. The goal is to present the new plan to voters on November 5th, 2013. I was fascinated that it's actually being brought to voters, but not identified as Agenda 21. What's the problem? For starters, this is not about what we want or need. As the City of Tucson has stated, the Livable Tucson Vision Program closely aligns our community with a federal livability agenda for the 21st century. Next, related planning initiatives to solicit comments are often nothing more than forums to present controlled choices. Controlled choices, that's what I used to do with my son. Do you want a bath with bubbles or no bubbles? I always had that kid in the bathtub until he finally figured out. He could answer me a third way. Substantial time and effort is spent on group processing activities and creating the illusion of local effort, buy-in, and consensus for preset global plans. It is also about building and maintaining a global system that requires ongoing data collection, evaluation, and monitoring. It is a system that uses surveys, assessments, trained facilitators, public forums, workshops, neighborhood associations, partnerships, and other mechanisms. UN defined sustainable development policies are cloaked in hype that lulls the uninformed. But after global livability and sustainability become drivers of a city, county, and state operations, it doesn't take long for the dark underbelly to appear. The ills that surface include new and higher taxes, fees, and fines, maintenance and operations budget deficits, general fund money diverted to special interest, growing municipal debt, and costly, unnecessary redevelopment and transportation projects. For example, light rail, modern streetcars, corridor initiatives, sports complexes, high-density housing, and questionable water and energy plans, to name a few. There are also new and amended land use and building codes to restrict property rights, rezoning that affects real estate values, increased private property takings, giveaways and sales of taxpayer-funded public assets, and local needs taking a back seat to comprehensive regional plans. Additionally, communities will see governance troubles such as unbridled use of unaccountable public-private partnerships, an administrative culture of deceit, graft, and conflicts of interest, and elected representation displaced by appointed representation to agencies, boards, commissions, councils, and committees. Menacing international agendas are stripping away our ability to live as free people and to have a life of quality. What can we do to reverse course? A few suggestions. Stop public funding of the oppressive global plans. For example, defeat tax increase proposals that fund the implementation and the maintenance of UN Agenda 21. And remember, Agenda 21 covers a gamut of economic, natural resource, institutional, and social aspects, and the financial needs are substantial and ongoing. And let me read to you the way these different aspects break down. We've got the economic, and under that you have international cooperation, trade, changing consumption patterns, financing, technology, industry, transport, and sustainable tourism. Under institutional, you'll find integrated decision-making, major groups, science, information, and international law. Under natural resources, agriculture, atmosphere, biodiversity, desertification and drought, energy, forests, freshwater, land management, mountains, ocean and coastal areas, toxic chemicals, and waste hazard materials. And the last item is social aspects, which include poverty, demographics, health, education, and human settlements. Second suggestion is to reject policies that result in alignment with Agenda 21. So for example, in my city, we're going to have this new general plan brought to the voters. We need to vote it down. Number 3, end public-private partnerships, as well as other government ties to entities that promote global agendas and financially enrich their organizations in the process by feeding at the public trough. This includes ending ties with ICLEI, which is the International Environmental Agency for Local Governments, and has official status to represent local governments at United Nations meetings. Number 4, scrutinize candidates for elected office. Aware or not, many elected officials at local, county, state, and federal levels are serving as foot soldiers for unsustainable global sustainable development. Support those who are uncompromising about protecting individual liberty, private property, and unalienable rights. And number 5, arm yourself with knowledge. Understand the issues so you will not be easily misled and deceived by proponents of the global agendas. Should we keep our planet in decent living conditions for future generations? Yes, of course. Agenda 21 ideologues and profiteers want us to believe that is their aim. But the fact is, many past results of sustainable development policies and practices reveal a growing international racket that lowers living standards, reduces life opportunities, decreases individual wealth, and cultivates a social order where clearly some are more equal than others. Those are not the conditions I want to leave for future generations. What about you? Thank you.